Now, I love bottle films ever since I was a kid because I think it pushes creativity, so when I heard a little bottle was coming around the corner, I was so excited. Even though One Night in Miami isn't exactly a bottle film, I call these movies the semi-bottle because they truly take place in a minimal amount of locations, but mostly in one. One Night in Miami is the feature directorial debut by Regina King, adapted from a play as it tells a fictionalized meeting between four great figures in the 1960s. I think it's incredibly interesting and powerful to see these men argue in a room. These characters very much have different viewpoints, but they are all looking for the same thing. The conflict is that they have very different approaches to their ultimate goals. The classic four-corner opposition, where if you have four characters who go against each other in morals and values, then the story shall write itself. This leads to a lot of disagreement and discrepancies, and I loved it. Eli Garay played Muhammad Ali before he was Muhammad Ali. The film starts with him in the middle of a boxing match where he was just playing around and not taking it seriously at all until still he won the fight. He is told to be more serious about it or he'll get knocked out again, but his mentality was
woulda, coulda, shoulda, didn't. A win is a win, Ferdy.
Meaning it doesn't matter how he gets there, just as long as he gets there. He's been thinking about becoming a Muslim under the guidance of Malcolm, who really took him under his wings for this incredibly serious, undoubtedly well-intentioned, 100% certain transition. Yeah, I don't think he's certain. He wins the world champion at the young age of 22 just before he arrives at the motel room where the film takes place. Aldis Hodge has been popping off in recent years. He played Jim Brown, one of the greatest NFL players of all time, who later turned actor. But everyone makes fun of him because he was the cliche of the black character who dies first in the movie. He goes to one of his acquaintances' house after breaking the record of most yards ran in the season, but can't outrun racism. When he asks to help move the furniture in the house, this dude hits him with a,
"But you know we don't allow niggas in the house."
Excuse me?
He was a commentator at the Cassius fight before he arrived at the motel room where the film takes place. Other than Malcolm X, Sam Cooke, played by Leslie Odom Jr., probably has the most spotlight. We start with him at a show in Copa where as soon as he steps on stage, people start leaving, not paying attention, and start checking the era they're in.
How's everybody feeling tonight?
But I guess it doesn't matter that much because he's so rich, he's living in the president's suite in the time of his life. When he gets to the room, he was like,
"It's a damn dump."
When Malcolm invites him to go to Saudi Arabia with him,
Gotta prep to go back to the Copa.
Meaning he would rather sing his ass off and be humiliated by white people in public than sing for his lover in private because
Last time I checked, Brother Sam, vanilla was your flavor of choice.
You know, because vanilla is white. But just before everyone else arrived at the motel, he was still clinging onto his normal way of living.
You gotta admit, that brother sure can't sing.
If you're into that sort of thing.
Right.
Malcolm X, played beautifully by Kingsley Ben-adir, is at the height of controversy with his movement and his concerns of potentially leaving the Nation of Islam, so he got bodyguards who were assigned to him to wick away the press and others. He spends more time and energy on his message than his own family, but tries to convince everyone in the room to use their power and voice to fight for their brothers. Everything seems to need to have some sort of purpose or end goal, though he often sees his own way as the only way. It is also mentioned in one of the interviews how Malcolm was feeling at this particular time of his life.
He said that Malcolm said to him around this time, as he was leaving the nation, or being pushed out rather, that he felt weak and he felt hollow and that no one knew the torments that he was going through.
As he finally arrives at the motel room where the film takes place, which brings me to the thesis of this video. It's very fun for me to sit and dissect how Regina King blocked these characters in a contained space, but it's also equally as fun to see how it is often connected with the production design and cinematography. The film was lensed by Tammy Reeker, who lensed a couple of indies in the past and the more recent The Old Guard, and the production designer is Barry Robinson, who's doing Snowpiercer the series recently. But one of the motifs of the film is how divisive the political state is, and for the people who have the voice and influence, in what role do they play in the bigger picture?
I'm drawing in the sand a line. You're either for or against.
And a line has got to be drawn in the sand, Jimmy. A line that says either you stand on this side with us or you stand over on that side against us, Cass.
That's why there are many instances where the cinematography and or the production design seems to linger and emphasizes on divisions and lines, like Cassius literally fighting in the ring, the disconnect Sam was feeling between him and the audience when he bombed at the opening performance, and showing just how differently the two sides see things, and also how Jim was really not allowed in a white person's home, and the motel room where Malcolm is staying at, in which the room is physically separated into two major sections, the dining area and the sleeping area, creating a line in the middle that characters often cross and dance around it. The production designer made the interior feel more like a Japanese interior, using colors that feel welcoming but also brings out the complexion of the actors. By extending the room also really helped the crew to maneuver in the midst of a shoot, but everything still comes down to another essential part of telling this story. As we see these characters argue with one another, it is clear that the main driving force to the conflict is between Malcolm and Sam. So the two, in my opinion, most important scenes in which they go toe to toe is the one on the rooftop and the one of which ended with Sam storming out of the room, where we lean more towards Sam in the former and Malcolm in the latter. Two scenes happen back to back for a huge contrast. In the rooftop, Sam is the one being physically singled out as he assesses what he has going for and what his future potentially holds. It's different from the scene in the room because Sam is playing the offense while Malcolm is playing the defense, creating a semi or invisible line between him and the rest of the characters. The scene in the room, however, Malcolm is now playing offense and Sam is playing defense. Once again, the line in the middle of the room is used as a tool to create contrast and opposition, and it represents the line the characters are talking about in the film. That's why we would get inserts like this when characters are looking at each other on opposite side. The scene is about Malcolm questioning and challenging Sam's mentality. This is also the scene where Malcolm finds out that Cassius isn't entirely sure about becoming a Muslim, and Jim, being the bystander of the scene, starts to apply their arguments to himself. We start with all four characters on the same side. As we listen to Sam's music, Cassius crosses the line, and Malcolm talks about how they will never be loved by the people they're trying to win over, and that's why when the argument becomes heated, Jim has the opportunity to self-evaluate what he has and what he needs to do.
You will never be loved by the people you're trying so hard to win over. Never. You're just a wind-up toy in a music box.
So considerate of you, Jimmy, but you know we don't allow niggas in the house.
He goes into the bathroom, exits, and crosses over to the other side too. And as a major beat occurs when Cassius reveals about his doubt for becoming a Muslim,
his passion for Islam comes from a pure place, Sam.
Passion is kind of a strong word.
Sam crosses the line as well. Now Malcolm is all alone. It is a mirror to the rooftop scene through the perspective of Malcolm. It is about the contrast between singling out one of his friends and being singled out by all of them. The filmmakers often talk about how the film is an outlet for them to tell the truth.
She had a very sharp eye for understanding what the true vision, the full vision of this film was yet to be.
My responsibility is to continue to educate myself and to continue to speak my truth.
And it's sad that the film still resonates and reflects whatever it is going on in society today. I may be speaking out of terms here, but One Night in Miami is about hope and enlightenment. It's about looking into oneself from the perspectives without. It's a group of great figures trying to figure out what they have and what they have to do in order to move forward. Thank you so much for watching, subscribe, and I'm gonna resist watching this movie again. So I'll see you next time. Bye.